Open the cupboard under the stairs in 1955, and you would find a blue bag, a box of soda crystals, and a bar of yellow soap worth more than most of what sits in your utility room today. Before the twin tub hummed away in every scullery, British housewives ran wash day on chemistry, muscle, and tricks passed down like family secrets. Number 14 on this list was so effective, the soap companies quietly buried it. And number 2, they warned women against it in the 1960s, yet it still beats anything on the Lenore shelf. These 20 methods kept collars crisp and whites blinding on a few pennies a week. Hit that subscribe button, because once you know what your nan knew, you will never look at your machine the same way again. Let us count down the 20 smartest laundry tricks that vanished from British homes. Number 20, grating the bar into soap flakes. Long before a scoop of powder went into a drawer, your nan kept a bar of Sunlight soap and a cheese grater hanging by the sink. She'd shave that hard yellow block into thin curls, then dissolve them in a jug of boiling water to make a smooth jelly. The trick was the dissolving. Tip cold flakes straight into the tub, and they'd cling to the wool in greasy lumps that never rinsed out. The jelly spread evenly through the water, lifting dirt without leaving residue. A bar cost about twopence and lasted a fortnight of washes. She'd save the worn-down slivers in a wire cage on a stick, the soap shaker, and swish it through the bowl when doing the smalls. Nothing was thrown away. Modern liquid detergent costs 10 times as much per wash, and half of it goes straight down the drain. That humble grated bar did the same job for the price of a stamp, and your nan could tell exactly how much she was using. Number 19. Salt to set the color. A new red blouse or a pair of navy curtains went into a basin of cold water with a fistful of cooking salt before they ever met the soap. Your nan knew that fresh dye bled the first few washes, and once a pink jumper turned the sheets pink, there was no going back. About 2 tablespoons of salt to a gallon of water, left to soak for an hour, helped fix the dye into the fibers so the color held fast. The salt cost almost nothing. A penny's worth from the corner shop did a dozen garments. It was the difference between a colored wash you could trust and a wash that ruined everything it touched. We just chuck a color catcher sheet in now and hope for the best, paying good money for a single use. Your nan's salt soak was permanent, and she'd no more skip it on a new red cardigan than leave the back door unlocked at night. Number 18. Lemon juice and a day of sunshine. When a tea stain or a yellow underarm mark wouldn't shift, your nan didn't reach for bleach and risk eating a hole in the cotton. She rubbed the spot with the cut half of a lemon, sprinkled a little salt over it, then laid the garment flat on the grass in full sun. The citric acid loosened the stain, while the sun's ultraviolet light did the bleaching, free of charge. By tea time the mark had faded clean away, and the linen smelled of nothing but fresh air. A lemon cost a few pence and treated half a wash line of pillowcases and tablecloths. The clever part was that it never weakened the cloth the way chlorine bleach did. Whites lasted years longer this way. Today we tip a capful of chemical whitener into the drum and wonder why the towels go thin and ragged within a season. Sunshine and a lemon did it gently, and the garden did the work. Number 17. Borax, the box that did everything. That dusty cardboard carton of borax in the scullery was the most versatile thing your nan owned. A tablespoon in the wash boosted the soap and softened hard water. Made into a paste with a little water, it lifted grease, ink, and grass stains off knees and cuffs. Dissolved in warm water, it deodorized the nappy bucket and the dishcloths. A box cost about threepence and lasted months because a little went a long way. The reason it worked across so many jobs is that borax raises the alkalinity of the water just enough to break down oils and neutralize odors without scorching the fabric. It was the original all-purpose laundry helper, sitting on the shelf decades before anyone marketed a stain pre-treat spray at 4 times the price. Our nans would have laughed at paying for a separate bottle for every single job. One honest box of borax handled the lot, and it never ran out halfway through a wash. Number 16. Brown paper for the ironing. When a wool skirt needed pressing without going shiny, or a scorch threatened on the collar, your nan reached for a sheet of brown paper. She would lay it between the hot, flat iron and the cloth, pressing through it so the heat reached the fabric. But the metal never touched it directly. For sharp creases in trousers, she would dampen the paper slightly first, and the steam set the line beautifully. Brown paper cost nothing. It came wrapped round the parcel from the drapers and got saved in a drawer for exactly this. The shine you sometimes see on an old suit jacket is the iron flattening the fibers, and the paper stopped that happening entirely. She used it for melting candle wax off a tablecloth too, pressing a warm iron over brown paper until the wax soaked up into it. We buy specialist pressing cloths now for a few pounds. Your nan used the wrapping the shopping came in and threw it away when it wore out. First pattern break. Here's where it gets clever. Number 15. The water you'd already used, potato and bran. Nothing in your nan's kitchen went to waste, not even the cloudy water left from boiling the spuds. That starchy water, once cooled, made a perfectly good light starch for cotton blouses and pillowcases. She would dip the collar or cuff in, wring it out, and iron it stiff and crisp. For dark woolens, she used bran water instead, a handful of bran boiled in water, strained and used as the final rinse. The bran left a faint protective finish that kept moths off and stopped the wool felting. Both cost absolutely nothing because they were byproducts she would have poured down the sink anyway. The starch in potato water is chemically near identical to the boxed laundry starch sold in the shops, only she got it free with the dinner. This was the genius of the old kitchen. Every job fed into the next. The wash, the cooking, and the cleaning all shared the same pennies, and nothing left the house without doing 2 jobs first. Number 14. Soda crystals. The trick the soap firms buried. A handful of washing soda crystals in the copper was the secret to a wash that came out cleaner, using half the soap. In hard water areas, most of the country, the minerals in the tap water fought the soap, so women wasted half their bar just softening the water before any cleaning began. Soda crystals softened it instantly, meaning the soap could get straight to lifting the dirt. A bag cost about a penny and lasted weeks. Here's the part nobody mentions. When detergent manufacturers came in during the 1950s and the 1960s, the last thing they wanted was housewives using a penny bag of soda to slash how much product they bought. So soda quietly disappeared from the advertising, replaced by branded powders sold as the modern way. Soda crystals never stopped working. Plumbers still recommend them for clearing greasy drains today. Your nan softened her water, boosted her wash, and cleaned her sink with one cheap bag. The soap firms spent a fortune teaching us to forget she ever did. Number 13. Beeswax on the flat iron. Before the electric iron with its smooth, non-stick plate, your nan ironed with a solid lump of iron heated on the range. A hot flat iron drags and sticks on starched cotton. Her fix was a small block of beeswax wrapped in a scrap of cloth. She would rub it over the heated sole of the iron, then buff it on an old rag before pressing, and the iron would glide like silk. The wax filled the tiny pits in the metal and stopped the starch from catching. She would also rub a stub of candle along the runners of a sticking drawer, using the same logic. A lump of beeswax cost coppers from the ironmonger and lasted years. The smell of warm wax and hot linen was the smell of a Tuesday afternoon. Modern irons have the coating built in, but once that coating wears off, people throw the whole thing away. Your Nan kept one iron her entire married life and simply re-waxed it, and it never once stuck to a shirt. Number 12. Tea and coffee for the blacks. When a black skirt faded to a tired grey, or the dark curtains looked washed out at the seams, your Nan didn't buy a tin of dye. She brewed a strong pot of black tea, or used the dregs from the breakfast coffee, strained the brew, and used it as the final rinse. The tannins in the tea settled into the fibers and deepened the color, refreshing the black so it looked nearly new. Coffee did the same for browns. It cost nothing but the spent tea leaves already in the pot. The same trick freshened up net curtains gone yellow, dunking them in weak tea to give them a soft cream tone that hid the age. She tested a hidden corner first, mind, because too strong a brew could blotch. We replace a faded jumper now without a second thought, or we pay for fabric dye and a special wash cycle. Your Nan got another 2 years out of a good garment with the leaves she would have tipped in the bin. Number 11. Ox gall from the butcher. This one sounds peculiar now, but it was the most prized stain remover in the house. Ox gall, bile from the butchers, sold for a penny or two, was the original grease-cutting soap, and it worked on the stains nothing else could touch. A few drops worked into a collar grimed with hair oil, or a tablecloth marked with gravy and candle grease, dissolved the fat where soap alone failed. It was the natural detergent the whole industry was later built to copy, the same surfactant action you pay for in a bottle of stain remover today. Your Nan kept a little jar of it for the worst jobs, and swore by it for cleaning carpets and reviving the colors in a faded rug. The butcher would hand it over for next to nothing, because to him it was waste. It vanished the moment chemical stain removers arrived, sold in pretty packaging that hid the fact they were doing exactly what a penny's worth of gall had done for 100 years. Second pattern break. Now we're into the heavy artillery. Number 10. Methylated spirits and terps for grease. When a man came home with engine oil ground into his overalls, or a child got tar from the road on a school dress, soap and water hadn't a hope. Your Nan kept a bottle of methylated spirits and a tin of turpentine for exactly these. A rag dampened with meths dissolved ink, grass, and most grease without spreading the mark, dabbed from the outside in so it never ran. Turpentine tackled the worst of the oil and paint, worked in before the garment ever saw the washtub. She did it by the open window, away from the fire, because she respected what she was handling. A bottle cost a few pence and lasted the year. The principle is pure chemistry, like dissolves like, and an oil-based stain surrenders to a solvent when it laughs at water. Modern stain pens use gentler versions of the very same idea. Your Nan understood, without a chemistry book, that some stains needed a solvent and some needed soap, and she never confused the two. Number 9. Stretching and blocking the woolens. A hand-knitted jumper costs nothing in wool but weeks in labor, so when it came out of the wash, your Nan never just pegged it up to dry. Wet wool stretches and sags under its own weight, so she laid it flat on a clean towel, gently pushed it back into shape, and pinned it to the right size while it dried. For a cardigan that had shrunk in a too-hot wash, she would soak it in lukewarm water with a capful of hair conditioner, or, in earlier days, a little olive oil, which relaxed the fibers enough to stretch it back out. She would trace round the garment on a sheet of newspaper before washing so she knew the exact size to block it to. A jumper treated this way kept its shape for a decade. We tumble dry knitwear now and wonder why it ends up fit for a doll. Your nan treated a good woolen like the small fortune in labor it was, and it lasted long enough to be handed down. Number 8. The mangle did the spin cycle. Before the machine, the hardest part of wash day was getting the water out, and the mangle, that heavy cast iron frame with 2 wooden rollers and a turning handle, was the answer. Your nan fed the soaking sheets between the rollers and cranked, and the pressure squeezed the water out in a flood, leaving the cloth damp instead of dripping. Get it right, and the washing was half dry before it ever hit the line, cutting hours off the drying. The skill was feeding it evenly and keeping fingers well clear of those rollers. Every street had a tale of a trapped hand. A mangle cost £1 or £2 and lasted 3 generations, often passed from mother to daughter as a wedding gift. It did precisely what a modern spin cycle does, using nothing but muscle and leverage. When wet washing comes out of your machine barely damp, that's the mangle's job, done by a motor. Your nan's arms were the motor, and her sheets dried by lunchtime. Number 7. The pulley maid and the airing. In a terraced house with no garden and rain 6 days out of 7, drying was a battle, and the pulley maid won it. That wooden rack, hauled up to the kitchen ceiling on a rope and pulley, let the warm air rising from the range do the drying, up out of the way where it did not clutter the room. Your nan loaded it with the smalls and the shirts, hoisted it to the ceiling, and tied the rope off on the wall cleat. By morning, everything was bone dry and warm. For finishing off, the clothes horse stood by the fire and the items were aired, left to drive out the last hidden damp that causes mildew and that musty smell. Airing wasn't optional. Putting a not quite dry shirt away was how you got mold in the wardrobe. A pulley cost a few shillings and never wore out. We pay a fortune to run a tumble dryer and still get damp-smelling towels. Your nan used the heat she'd already made for the cooking, and it cost her nothing extra. Number 6. Hartshorn and ammonia for the stubborn ones. For perspiration marks, fruit stains, and the grime that settled into a man's working collar, your nan kept a small bottle of household ammonia, sometimes called hartshorn in the older recipe books. A teaspoon in a basin of warm water cut through the body oils and sweat salts that ordinary soap left behind, and it brightened dingy whites without the harshness of bleach. She used it on the carpet for spills, and on the windows for a streak-free shine, so it earned its place several times over. It had to be used with the window open and never ever mixed with bleach. She knew that rule by heart long before any label warned of it. A bottle cost a few pence and did the work of 3 modern specialist products. The clever bit is that ammonia is alkaline, so it dissolves the acidic, oily residues that build up where the body touches cloth, exactly the stains soap struggles with. We've forgotten it almost entirely, and pay handsomely for branded sprays that do the very same chemistry. 3rd pattern break. Now for the finishing touches that made the difference. Number 5. Starching the collars with robin. A crisp white collar said everything about a household, that the lady of the house had standards, and that her husband went out looking respectable. Your nan made starch from a packet of robin or Coleman's, mixing the powder to a paste, then thinning it with boiling water until it turned glossy and clear. Shirts and collars went in for the final dip, were wrung out, and ironed while just damp so the starch set hard and smooth. Get the strength right, and a collar would stand to attention all day. Too strong, and it cracked. Too weak, and it wilted by noon. She'd starch the tablecloth and the pillowcases stiff. For Sunday best, too, A packet cost a few pence and starched a month of washing. The finish was sharper than anything a spray can manage today, and it lasted through wear, not just until you sat down. We've swapped a tin of proper starch for an aerosol that costs more and works less. Your nan's collars could have stood up on their own. Number 4. Reading the line and the weather. Hanging out was a craft, not an afterthought. Your nan pegged shirts by the tail, never the shoulders, so the peg marks never showed when worn. Trousers hung by the waistband, socks in pairs, and the whites went out first to catch the strongest sun for that free, natural bleaching. She read the sky like a sailor, a quick wash on a breezy, bright morning, and the heavy sheets were saved for a proper drying day. A bag of wooden dolly pegs cost a penny and lasted years. The line was rubbed clean with a damp cloth first, so it never marked the white sheets. Wind did half the work, snapping the creases out so the ironing was lighter. There was real knowledge in it. Which way the wind blew round the houses, where the sun fell longest, how to get a full load dry between 2 rain showers. We tip everything into a heated drum and never look up. Your nan got a better result, smelling of fresh air, for the cost of nothing but watching the weather. 4th pattern break, and now the 2 that did the real cleaning. Number 3, the copper and the dolly tub. At the heart of every wash day stood the copper, a great built-in boiler with a fire beneath it, and the dolly tub beside it. Your nan filled the copper, lit the fire, and boiled the whites with grated soap and a little soda, because boiling was what truly killed the dirt and the germs that cold washing left behind. The sheets churned in the rolling water, then went into the dolly tub to be pummeled with the pozzer, a copper plunger on a stick, or twisted with the wooden dolly, driving the soapy water through the cloth again and again. It was hot, heavy, hours-long work, but it got linens cleaner and brighter than any cold cycle manages today. The boiling sterilized, the possing agitated, and the soap and soda lifted the grime. Your modern machine does all 3 with a heating element and a drum, and we think it's a marvel. Your nan did it with a fire, a stick, and a strong pair of arms, and her sheets came out blinding. Number 2. The vinegar rinse, the one they warned against. A cup of plain white vinegar in the final rinse was your nan's fabric softener, and it cost a fraction of a penny. The mild acid stripped out the last of the soap that stiffens towels and dulls colors, leaving everything soft, bright, and once dry, smelling of nothing at all, the vinegar smell vanishing completely. It softened the water, set the colors fast, and even cut through the soap scum that built up on woolens. When fabric softeners like Lenore arrived at the end of the 1960s, the makers had every reason to discourage a habit that cost nothing, and the new powders even carried warnings that vinegar might harm the machine, though it does nothing of the sort, and is still recommended to discard them. Vinegar never stopped working. It softens and it brightens, it deodorizes and it cuts grease, all from a bottle that costs pennies. Your nan poured a cup in at the end of every wash. We pay good money for a perfumed blue liquid that does less, and we were told to. Number 1. The blue bag. And in first place, the little muslin bag of laundry blue, Reckitt's Dolly Blue, the secret behind whites that almost glowed. Here is the puzzle your nan understood. White cotton goes yellow with age and washing, and no amount of soap makes yellow look white. So she added a faint trace of blue. A swish of the blue bag through the final rinse tinted the linen the merest shade of blue. And because blue and yellow sit opposite on the color wheel, they cancel each other out. The eye reads the result as a brilliant, dazzling white. It was an optical trick, pure and simple, and it worked perfectly. A bag cost a penny and lasted months. Too long a dip turned the sheets faintly blue, so it took a practiced hand. Here is the part that proves she was right. Every bright white detergent on the shelf today does exactly the same thing. Those optical brighteners they advertise are fluorescent blue-white dyes doing the identical job your nan did with a penny bag of blue. The science caught up. She got there first. So there you have it. 20 tricks that kept British homes clean on a handful of pennies, every one of them quietly buried when the machine arrived. Try one this week. For example, the vinegar rinse, the blue bag, or a cup of soda in the wash. And tell me in the comments whether your nan was just being thrifty or whether she knew something we forgot. Because I think she knew. Now you know too.